There's a lot of paranormal stuff in the world. There's a lot of untold horror stories in the world. That those people who were experiencing it, they never want to talk about it because they think no one's gonna believe them. But between all this, there's the sources. That those people who work for those sources, they believe in these things. So they let the people to send an email which explains their story to them. They make content, entertainment based with those stories, which can be a video or a animation or just simple storytelling. Today we're here with one of those sources, or better to say one of those channels who make such a content, great animations, which call Wansee Entertainment. They really put a lot of works in their animations. I'm gonna leave the link in the description, so just go check it. It's perfect. They are very good at making animations. Today we're about to watch the Abandoned House horror story. So let's don't waste the time and get into this.
3 years ago, my friend John asked me to go with him to an abandoned house. It was an abandoned house that was famous in our neighborhood. Famous because it was haunted. Everyone who went into it came out injured or crazy. I told John I would never go there, let alone inside, but he demanded for me to go, saying he would introduce me to a nice pretty girl I'd been wanting to get to know. Knowing that, I couldn't.
Just a simple simping can make it trouble for you, pal. As you see, there's just simple simping happening here. But I forgot to mention, like sometimes it happens that those people, they go into some troubles. They bring someone else with them, and there's just two of them that they've experienced this such terrible thing. And it makes more like believable, like the people can believe it when there's two people. It really, or even more, like the more it goes, the more it will be, like the people more believe in him.
We went to the abandoned house, and as soon as we stepped inside, we saw a large portrait of a family. The people in the portrait were all baring their teeth like animals, and there was blood around their mouths. The painting gave me goosebumps. We kept walking around, shining the flashlight here and there. Then suddenly I heard the sound of dishes clattering from the kitchen. I was startled and pointed the flashlight in that direction, but there was no one. Plates, forks, and knives were neatly arranged on the main table. As I approached, I had noticed that there were bones on the plates. It looked as if a human skull was split into several pieces. I screamed and ran to John and told him, "Let's get out of here." But John said, "I came all this way. Allow me to give a high five to the ghost, and then we can leave. Now, let's go to the second floor."
I mean, even though that's a movie thing, but even I think even in the real life, there's a people like this guy that really they make troubles with just keep pushing their friends into this whole paranormal stuff or just anything is there, even though they just can be like just a murder, like there's no like horror or any ghost and stuff, but just a murder waiting for you, but your friend keep pushing you because he think he's brave, and they, you know, he's just making trouble for you. So don't have such friends.
No matter how much I begged him to leave, he wouldn't listen. We went up to the second floor, and there too were many paintings hanging on the walls. They seemed to be old paintings of the family's ancestors, and their faces were distorted and creepy. They had red skin with pimply dots all over, and long fingernails. I entered the first room. As soon as I opened the door, a dark figure shouted from inside the room, "Looks delicious!" And then a skeleton figure of a woman crawled towards me. I was startled, and I took a step back. Cold air hit my face, and then the woman disappeared. I thought I was hallucinating due to my extreme fear, and my body started to shake. It was then that it happened. I heard John screaming from the other room, so I ran to see what was happening. However, when I tried to open the door, it was locked. "John, open the door!" I twisted the doorknob and yelled for him to open the door, but all I could hear from behind the door was John groaning and the sound of dishes clinking and some people laughing. I slammed into the door with my whole body, but it wouldn't budge. I tried to look around for the key, but I couldn't find it. Then I heard John say something. I put my ear to the door and listened closely. "I'm ecstatic," he said. I kicked the door for a while, but no chance, so I called the police. Even if I had to face punishment, I thought I had to save John. After a while, the police arrived. They were angry at me, saying that in this house, dozens of people had died. They broke the doorknob and went inside.
Yo, what the? I mean, there is places like this that there is such a very dark background with it. Like comes with a lot of death or even.
No, man!
I shouldn't say that. Like some unalive stuff, you know. So yeah, it comes with that actually. So I mean, not every single one is real, but those ones which real, like you can really feel something's wrong with that place, you know.
When the door finally opened, we were shocked by the sight of John. He was lying on a large table wearing nothing but his underwear, and there were several forks stuck into his stomach. There were plates surrounding him filled with black liquid. And John, he was muttering the same thing over and over again. "Enjoy your meal! Enjoy your meal!" We screamed, but John just continued to mutter to himself. "Please, eat this as well." He grabbed the knife and tried to stab himself in the stomach. As the officers approached and tried to rescue him, he swung at them with the knife. "I won't give you my flesh," he screamed. The police barely managed to gain control of him. He left the house on a stretcher, screaming in tremendous pain, and then fainted. He was then taken away in an ambulance. He underwent surgery at the hospital. When I visited him a few days later, he didn't even look at me, but just looked at the ceiling and smiled. Oh, that night was the best night of my life. When I entered the room, the family was skinny from prolonged hunger, but they were so beautiful that I decided to satisfy their hunger. I lay down on the table and they started eating my flesh. Seeing them happy made me so happy that I couldn't stop laughing from joy. I couldn't believe I could provide meals to such noble people.
I mean, it can be possessed. It can be possessed, or there was some psychological situation which he comes up with. Holy shit, that's so dark. Even though, like, you know, it's based off true story. Damn.
It was only then that I realized the reason I went into the house was for them. Bloody tears started to flow from his eyes, and suddenly he glared at me and shouted, "But why did you come in during mealtime? If you hadn't disturbed me, they would have eaten all of me. Take me back there. They are waiting for me." He grabbed me by the collar and demanded. The nurses and doctors came running and held him back. I was so shocked that I had no choice but to leave the hospital room. He was no longer the John I knew. I couldn't say anything. I just cried. I just kept hoping it was all just a bad dream. A few days passed after that, and I didn't have the courage to contact John again. After some time, I learned he had tried to rip out his stomach with his hands, saying he had to give the food to the family in the abandoned house. He was eventually admitted to a mental hospital. While he was in the mental hospital, he drew the faces of the family of the abandoned house. They were thin, with long teeth and fingernails. They looked more like monsters than people. Today, I often think about what it might have been that John saw. I mean, I can't even imagine it. I just hope that John gets back to his old self.
My name is Brianna, and this happened to me a few years ago. I live in Silver City, New Mexico, and I was in a bad place at the time. I was living in a trailer park during that period, and I was about to walk to see my boyfriend. It was late. I'm not sure what time it was, but it was between 12 and 3 a.m.
I don't know why, but I just keep saying people who are kind of going into the horror or abound places, uh, which kind of mostly is happening in the Mexico, or like there is a like one guy from the Arab guy, I assume, like he's going into the places and just going and saying some holy wars in order to just uh like keep the ghosts away. I don't know if those things are real or not, but that's actually fact that in Mexico, like those things happen like a lot. I don't know why. I don't know in the what's the reason for it, but
The house,
this is
turned
it,
on my phone flashlight, and began walking. Keep in mind that there is one large orange street light that illuminates the mailboxes near where you would turn to drive into the trailer park. However, as you walked down the road, there were no other lights. Not even a single house light. I've always been a bit paranoid, but it was only a 10 to 20 minute walk, so what's the big deal? So I began walking down the street, and my flashlight barely lit anything. I could see a few houses, but as I walked further down the road, I saw a massive ditch filled with trees, grass, weeds, shrubs, bushes, and a rail going down. On the right side of where I was walking, there was nothing but dirt and hills. I kept looking back as I walked to reassure myself that there was no need to be so worried and afraid, but I was just so nervous. I could see the end of the street from where I was standing. There was a dance studio on the left and a large fenced-in house on the right, almost like a checkpoint. It was a little far away, but I figured if I kept my flashlight straight and walked quickly, I'd be there in no time. Suddenly, I heard these movements, almost like steps. However, they weren't mine. I stopped and pointed my flashlight at the railed ditch, hoping to see someone walking or even an animal pass by. But there was no one there. "Hello!" I yelled, shining my flashlight towards this big, eerie tree that...
I mean, about the fact that he's hearing the footsteps. I mean, it happens that people are hearing it with no reason. That's just some imagination that it's kind of like scary. For example, for me, like my phone's notification, like that thing. I forgot the name. Sorry, like just for running out of English now. So just keep hearing the notification sound, like that. That vibration, that vibration, and keep hearing that vibration, and it's suddenly become a problem, kind of like, just focusing on something and just keep hearing the vibration. And and that's the problem. Like sometimes it happens,
slumped over the rail, and nothing. I turned around to see if there was someone behind me, but there wasn't anyone. I thought I was just freaking myself out, so I kept walking. Then I heard a hissing noise coming from the hills, almost like a cat or a large animal. I pointed my flashlight to my right, and there it was. I stopped in my tracks, my heart in my throat. It wasn't an animal. This thing had skin, clear skin, and I could see its spine. I didn't get a good look at its face, but it had an unusually long arms and legs. It was on its arms and legs and charged right at me. I had no choice but to book it down the street without looking back. I remember dropping a couple of items from one of my jacket pockets or pants pockets, but I didn't go back. I could hear its heavy and harsh breath getting closer and closer. I didn't have time to scream or cry or even get a better look at this thing. Finally, I made it to the light pole next to the fenced house. I looked back as soon as I got under the light pole, and the creature was gone. I stood there for a moment, wondering if I was just paranoid and my imagination got the better of me, or if I had actually seen some demonic, ugly skinwalker thing. I had no idea, but all I knew was that I needed to get the hell out of there. I ran down the street until I reached my ex-boyfriend. I'd never felt more at ease with his arms wrapped around me, just cuddling me and holding me tight. I never ended up telling him what I saw until a couple of years later. To this day, I still don't know if it was my mind playing tricks on me or if what I saw was actually a bloodthirsty creature preying on its next victim. I never returned to that trailer park or the road leading to it, and I hope I never have to.
That was today's video. I hope you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and if you have any idea or if you know anything about this paranormal stuff, just comment below. So, see you next time.